It's Saturday morning cartoons. I don't know how much this has to do with cartoons. I put Daffy Duck or Donald Duck in a trance up and sort of my ad for today's uh, little talk. But anyway, happy Saturday. Hope you slept in. Hope you're still in your pajamas eating peanut butter and toast. Trance. Again, we're on Little Essays Toward Truth. Now, this is a very old, kind of a relatively rare edition, and I'm beating it up. Okay, it's falling apart with my use and my study. But what's a book for if you're not supposed to use it? I guess so. Anyway, here's trance. Now he's talking about all of these chapters: man, memory, sorrow, wonder, beatitude, laughter, indifference, and yesterday's was mastery. And he's looking at all of those as if they were forms of or varieties of trance. Now he's talking about trance itself. The word trance implies a passing beyond, to wit, the conditions which it oppresses. The whole and sole object of all true magical and mystical training is to become free from every kind of limitation. Thus, body and mind, in the widest sense, are the obstacles in the path of the wise. The paradox, tragic enough as it seems, is that they are also the means of progress. Now, I got to digress for a second here. We're magicians are encouraged to study the Kabbalah or the Hermetic Kabbalah and sort of organize our universe, our thought patterns and such, sort of in harmony with the organization of consciousness that's displayed in the tree of life and the paths, the Sephiroth and the paths of the tree of life. And also, as far as Kabbalistic exercises are concerned, because the idea of the extended Kabbalistic meditation is to ride along, if you will, on the process of everything in heaven and earth, everything in the universe is connected to everything else in the universe. And there's also games Kabbalists play with numbers and letters and the harmonies and the inharmonies between different sort of simple mathematical principles that sort of treat every monad of existence that we are conscious of is sort of a fractal of a larger concept, or a fractal of smaller concepts. And it's just this repeating pattern of fractals. And the whole idea is not that at the end of all of these exercises and things that you get this giant, aha, that's what the universe is about. No, there isn't a giant final aha. Because in order to get that final aha, there's still the idea of the aha and the you that is getting it. And that in itself is separating you from the big aha. But in a way, all the Kabbalistic exercises and such, if they're done right, they bring you to the edge of the aha, and in a sense, you give up trying to understand it with your meat brain. You give up. Your ruach goes only so high. There's only so much you can take across the abyss. That's why the da'ath, that Sephiroth in the Sephiroth that's not a Sephiroth, that's in the middle of the abyss, is called knowledge. It's the height of knowledge. It's the height you can take your meat brain to. And from the initiate's point of view, from the master of the temple's point of view, from the magus's point of view, from the Epsissimus's point of view, that is the height of madness. That's why the demon Koronzon restriction, be unto him in the name of Babylon, is that height of knowledge. In more vulgar words, you do the Kabbalistic exercises until you just get so damn tired of the whole thing that you give up and let your neshama take over. But I digress. Mystical training is to become free from every kind of limitation. Thus, body and mind, in the widest sense, are obstacles to the path of the wise. The paradox, tragic enough as it seems, is that they are also the means of progress. How to get rid of them, to pass beyond or transcend them, is the problem. And this is as strictly practical and as scientific as that is eliminating purities from a gas or adroitly using mechanical laws. Here is the inevitable logical flaw in the sorites of the adept, that he is bound by every principle which it is his object to overcome, and on him who seeks to discard them arbitrarily, they haste to take a terrible revenge. It is in practice, not in theory, that this difficulty suddenly disappears. For when we take rational steps to suspend the operation of the rational mind, the inhibition does not result in chaos, but in the apprehension of the universe by means of a faculty to which the laws of reason do not apply. And when returning to the normal state, we seek to analyze our experience, we find that the description abounds in rational absurdities. On further consideration, however, it becomes gradually clear. Gradually, because the habit of trance must be firmly fixed before its fulminating impressions are truly intelligible. That there are not two kinds of thought or of nature, but only one. The law of the mind is the sole substance of the universe, as well as the sole means by which we apprehend it. May I repeat that? The law of the mind is the sole substance of the universe, as well as the sole means by which we apprehend it. There is thus no true antithesis between the conditions of trance and those of ratiocination and perception. The fact that the trance is not amendable to the rules of argument is impertinent. We say that in chess, a knight traverses the diagonal of a rectangle measuring 3 squares by 2, neglecting its motion as a material object in space. We have described a definite limited relation in terms of a special sense which works by an arbitrary symbolism. When we analyze any example of our ordinary mental processes, we find the case entirely similar. For what we see, hear, etc., depends upon our idiosyncrasies, for one thing, and upon conventional interpretation for another. Thus we agree to call grass green and to avoid walking over edges of precipices, without any attempt to make sure that any two minds have exactly identical conceptions of what these things may mean. And just so we agree upon the moves in chess, by rules of the game then, we must think and act, or we risk every kind of error. But we may be perfectly well aware that the rules are arbitrary, and that it is, after all, only a game. The constant folly of the traditional mystic has been so proud of himself for discovering the great secret that the universe is no more than a toy invented by himself for his own amusement, that he hastens to display his power by deliberately misunderstanding and misusing the toy. He has not grasped the fact that just because it is no more than a projection of his own point of view, it is integrally himself that he offends. Here lies the error of such pantheism as that of Mansur al-Hallaj. I'll digress for a second. Mansur al-Hallaj should be more famous than he is. He was like a Sufi mystic, okay, an ecstatic mystic. Think of Rumi kind of character. This guy was so cool, and he was absolutely enlightened, and he was a full-blown love nut. Okay, the love thing, he had his finger plugged right into the light socket of the love thing. And of course he wore a turban all the time. And one of his great trances that he fell into, we can call it trance because we're talking about trances here. One of his great illuminations caused him to just giggle and laugh and shout out to his neighborhood. He says, "I am truth. I am truth. And al-Hallaj. I am truth. And in my turban is wrapped nothing but God." Okay. So cool. So cool thing to say. But it was dangerously close to what got Jesus in trouble. Oh, I'm the Son of God. As if we aren't all sons of God. Okay. I am the truth, and in my turban is wrapped nothing but God. Well, that got him in trouble with the local religious authorities. He eventually got himself crucified or tied to a pole, stoned to death. Oh, it was just a bloody mess. They pulled out his tongue and shoved it up his other things and cut off his lips and his eyes and eyelids. I mean, it was grim, grim. And everybody in his neighborhood, even his friends who were afraid not to throw stones at him, ended up throwing stones. Except one friend who he loved dearly threw a rose petal or a rose flower on him. Anyway, that's the Mansur al-Hallaj we're talking to, and Richard Burton wrote a poem, the Qasida. Here lies the error of such pantheism as that of Mansur al-Hallaj, whom Richard Burton so delightfully twits in Qasida with his impotence. Well, Jesus had that same impotence when they said, "Come on down off that cross. You could have angels come do it. Come on. Who's the Son of God now?" Okay, excuse me. Here's what Richard Burton wrote. Mansur was wise, but wiser they who smote him with the hurled stones. And though his blood a witness bore, no wisdom might could mend his bones. This is back to Crowley now. God was in the stones no less than within his turban wrapping. And when the twain crashed together, one point of perception of the fact was obscured, which was in no wise his design. To us, however, this matter is not one for regret. It is, like every phenomenon, an act of love. And the very definition of such act is the passing beyond of two events into a third, and their withdrawal into a silence or nothingness by simultaneous reaction. And I digress for a second. And that's exactly the mechanism of the Eucharist. Something that the act of eating something is our way of outwardly withdrawing what we've whipped up and making it ourselves. In this sense, it may be said that the universe is a constant issue into trance. And, in fact, the proper understanding of any event by means of a suitable contemplation should produce the type of trance appropriate to the complex event individual in the case. Now, all magic is useful to produce trance. For A, it trains the mind in discipline necessary to yoga. B, it exalts the spirit to the impersonal and divine sublimity, which is the first condition of success. C, it enlarges the scope of the mind, assuring it full mastery of every subtler plane of nature, thus affording it adequate material for ecstatic communication of the Eucharist of existence. The essence of the idea of trance is indeed contained in that of magic, which is preeminently the transcendental science and art. Its method is, in one chief sense, love, the very key of trance, and in another, the passing beyond normal conditions. The verbs to transcend, transmit, and to transcribe, and their like, are all cardinal virtue in magic. Hence, love's the law. Love under will is the supreme epitome of magical doctrine and its universal formula. For need any man fear to state boldly that every magical operation soever is only complete when it is characterized, in one sense or another, by the occurrence of trance. It was ill done to restrict the use of the word to supersession of dualistic human consciousness by the impersonal and monistic state of samadhi. Fast bubbles the fountain of error from the morass of ignorance when distinction is forcibly drawn, quote, between any one thing and any other thing, unquote. Yea, verily, and amen. It is the first necessity, as it is the last attainment of trance, to abolish every form and every order of individuality so fast as it presents itself. By this ray may ye read in the book of your own magical record the authentic stigma of your own success. And that's number 9, I guess, for Sunday school tomorrow. The next little chapter will be called Energy. So, until we see you at Sunday school, go out and go fishing or something before the rain starts. It's going to rain here in about 20 minutes, so anyway. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Remember, Sacramento people, Constance and I will be giving our little salon magique at 418 Oasis, OTO, here in Sacramento tomorrow at 4 o'clock. If you need more information and directions and things like that, just leave me a little note here. I'll try to put you in touch with the Lodge Master. Okay. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.